Lyra paced the bioluminescent halls of the Viridian Council chambers, her steps echoed by the soft pulses of light from the walls. The day the humans were to arrive was upon them, and the air thrummed with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Lyra, you truly believe these humans can help us? Her colleague, Tess, a seasoned scientist with deep grooves etched into his bark-like skin, voiced the concern many held. I do, Tess. Their technology is leaps beyond ours in energy production. We've seen the data. We've watched their presentations. It's not just hope, it's calculated risk. Lyra responded, her luminous eyes bright with conviction. Tess sighed, adjusting his spectacles that shimmered with a faint green hue. And what of the Council's warning? They fear human unpredictability could bring chaos. Lyra stopped, turning to face him. And I fear that without new solutions, our planet's energy crisis will deepen beyond repair. This blight on our crops isn't waiting for our fears to subside. We need a solution now, and the humans offer that. As they spoke, the sound of a ship descending reverberated through the chambers. It was time. The humans had arrived. At the landing site, the delegation from Earth stepped off their ship, their attire starkly different from the flowing, organic garments of the Viridians. They were led by Captain Jameson, a woman with a sharp gaze and a seemingly permanent half-smile. Welcome to Viridia, Lyra greeted, extending a hand, her skin glowing slightly under the sun of her home planet. Captain Jameson took it, her grip firm. Thank you, Scientist Lyra. We're here to assist and share, not just to learn from you but hopefully to help solve your energy crisis. The initial meetings were a flurry of exchanges. Humans demonstrated their compact energy devices, small enough to fit in one's hand yet powerful enough to light up an entire district. Lyra watched, fascinated and hopeful as her team of scientists whispered excitedly amongst themselves. This is revolutionary, one of her aides muttered, eyes wide as the demonstration concluded with a display of lights and data that promised a future bright with energy. Lyra could feel her heart lift. Perhaps this gamble would pay off. Perhaps this was the dawn of a new era for Viridia. Over the next few weeks, human technology was integrated into Viridian infrastructure. The energy flow increased, and for a moment, it seemed as though all of Lyra's dreams were coming to fruition. But soon, subtle changes began to surface. The plants near the energy converter started wilting, their natural glow dimming. Concerned, Lyra initiated a series of tests. Lyra, you should see this. Tess called her over one evening, his tone grave. The laboratory was dim, the usually vibrant hues of Viridian flora muted and distressed. What is it? Lyra asked, peering over his shoulder at the data pad he held. It's the converters. They're emitting a frequency that's interfering with our biomes. Our plants can't photosynthesize properly. Look! He pointed at the screen, showing graphs and figures that Lyra dreaded seeing. Her mind raced. The humans had promised their technology was compatible with Viridian ecology. Had they been wrong? Or worse, had they lied? Thus, we need to confront them, she decided, her voice firm with resolve. The meeting with the human delegates was tense. Lyra presented her findings, the data irrefutable. Captain Jameson listened, her expression unreadable. Captain, did you know about this? Lyra's voice was steady, though inside she felt a storm brewing. Jameson paused before responding. We suspected there might be minor side effects, Lyra. But we believed the benefits outweighed the risks. We can adjust the technology, tweak it. Minor side effects? Lyra echoed, disbelief coloring her tone. Our primary food sources are dying. This isn't minor. We trusted you. Jameson stood, her eyes meeting Lyra's. Let us work on this, Lyra. We're not your enemy. We came here to help, and that's still our goal. Lyra felt a mixture of anger and desperation. You have 1 week, Captain. Fix this, or we remove your technology, and your team, from Viridia. As the humans left, Tess placed a hand on her shoulder. You did the right thing. But Lyra wasn't so sure. Doubt gnawed at her. Had she brought doom to her people out of a desire to save them? Days passed, each one a tick against the countdown Lyra had set. She watched the humans work, their brows furrowed in concentration, adjusting and readjusting their devices. And slowly, the plants began to recover. The bioluminescence returned, not as bright as before, but it was a start. Captain Jameson approached Lyra on the final day. "We've recalibrated everything. The new settings should harmonize better with your ecology. I'm sorry for the oversight, Lyra." "Truly." Lyra nodded, her gaze sweeping over the now gently glowing flora. "I hope this is the last of the surprises, Captain." "Agreed," Jameson replied, a hint of humility in her voice. "Sometimes, our reach exceeds our grasp. We'll do better." As Lyra watched the sunset, the sky painted with strokes of vibrant oranges and soothing violets, she felt a cautious relief. Her world was balanced on the edge, but for now, it held steady. The humans had kept their word, and perhaps, just perhaps, this alliance could work. In her heart, though, the seeds of vigilance had been planted. She would watch, she would learn, and she would not let her guard down again. For Viridia, for her people, she would stand ready, a beacon of hope and a sentinel of caution. As the new human technologies were woven into the fabric of Viridian society, the initial wave of enthusiasm that Lyra and her colleagues had ridden began to ebb, revealing the first signs of unforeseen repercussions. With each passing day, Lyra's once unshakable confidence in the alliance dimmed, overshadowed by the growing evidence of ecological imbalance. "I don't understand," Lyra muttered, reviewing the latest energy output reports. The figures were undeniable. Though the overall energy levels had risen, so had the instances of environmental anomalies. "This shouldn't be happening." Thess, ever her advisor and confidant, shared her concerns. "It's as if the human devices, while powerful, are too harsh for our systems. Like administering medicine intended for one species to another, there are bound to be adverse effects." Lyra knew he was right. They had wanted a cure but had instead introduced a new ailment. The decision weighed heavily on her, a burden she could not ease. Captain Jameson and her team worked diligently alongside Viridian scientists to understand the root cause of the disruptions. It was during one of these collaborative sessions that Lyra's earlier hope found a spark again. "We've adjusted the frequency of the energy converters," explained Jameson, pointing at the holographic data that floated between them. "It's closer to the natural resonance of your planet's biota. We think this will mitigate the negative effects." Lyra peered at the floating charts, her mind racing through the possibilities. "And the plants? Have there been any improvements?" "We've seen promising results in the lab tests," Jameson replied. Her voice carried a cautious optimism, a reflection of the gravity of their previous oversight. Renewed yet cautious, Lyra organized a field test in one of the most affected areas, a once vibrant grove that now stood muted, its colors dulled and leaves wilted. The team installed the modified converters, and together they watched, holding collective breaths, as the first signs of recovery appeared. Slowly, the natural glow of the grove began to pulse back to life, each beat a quiet testament to the potential success of their remediation efforts. "This is good, very good," Lyra said, allowing herself a small smile. "But we must monitor it closely. We cannot afford another oversight." Jameson nodded, her expression serious. "Agreed. We'll set up continuous monitoring and adjust as needed. We're not just here to help, we want to make this right." The following weeks were a tense ballet of adjustments and observations. Lyra spent her days and many nights in the grove, watching as the land slowly reclaimed its vibrancy. With each positive report, the hope that had once felt betrayed began to knit itself back together within her chest. But just as the environmental crisis seemed to be waning, a new challenge loomed. Reports of cultural unrest among the Viridian populace began to surface, fueled by rumors and fear of the unknown, fear of the humans. "They say we've traded our heritage for alien trinkets." Thess conveyed the sentiments of the more traditional factions during one of their strategy meetings. "There's talk of protests, maybe worse." Lyra felt the weight of her decisions more heavily than ever. "We need to address this. We can't let fear undermine what we're trying to achieve here." With the same resolve that had led her to invite the humans to Viridia, Lyra organized a series of public forums, intended to bridge the growing divide between her people and their visitors. She stood before her people, not just as a scientist but as a fellow Viridian, sharing their concerns, their fears. We sought the help of the humans because we faced a crisis that threatened our very way of life. Lyra addressed the gathered crowd, her voice amplified to reach even those at the back. Yes, we have faced challenges, some we anticipated and others we did not. But we are addressing these together, with the humans. She invited Jameson to speak, to share their progress and plans for continued environmental recovery. The human captain spoke earnestly, her respect for Viridian culture evident in her words. We are here not as conquerors or saviors, but as partners, Jameson concluded, her gaze sweeping over the crowd. The forums, while not a solution to all the unrest, began to quell the immediate fires of dissent. Lyra knew this was only the beginning of a long journey of integration and understanding. She was ready to lead, to continue the dialogue, to mend the fractures that had formed. Through it all, the grove continued to thrive, a symbol of what could be achieved through cooperation. Lyra visited often, each trip a reminder of why she had taken this path. Here, in the heart of nature's resilience, she found her own strength renewed. As the human technologies became more attuned to Viridian needs, the planet began to heal, its energy flows stabilizing. Lyra watched, her heart a mixture of pride and caution, as her world slowly, but surely, found its balance once more. With each success, the bond between human and Viridian grew, a testament to the power of understanding and adaptation. And though challenges remained, with the distrust of some of her people still simmering beneath the surface, Lyra faced each day with a clear vision. She would guide her world through this era of change, championing the harmony between the wonders of Viridian nature and the ingenuity of human innovation. As the sun set over Viridia, casting long shadows and painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Lyra stood in the grove, surrounded by the gentle glow of recovery. Here, amid the whisper of leaves and the soft hum of restored energy converters, she found hope, not just for her planet, but for all who dared to dream of a better tomorrow. Despite the successful adjustments to the human technology and the promising recovery of Viridia's ecosystem, Lyra's challenges were far from over. A troubling pattern emerged, gradually revealing the depth of the humans' impact on Viridia, which went beyond ecological disruptions. It began with small malfunctions in the energy grid that escalated quickly, spreading across the network like a viral infection. Lyra convened an emergency meeting with her team and the human engineers, including Captain Jameson, in the central lab. The atmosphere was tense, with both sides feeling the strain of the ongoing crisis. The grid instability isn't just a series of isolated incidents, Lyra began, her voice steady despite the rising worry. It's systematic. It's spreading through sectors that were unaffected before. This can't be a coincidence. Captain Jameson, who had been an ally and advocate, shared her concern. We've been analyzing the patterns. It seems like a feedback loop, but nothing in our technology should be causing this. We need to consider other possibilities. A junior Viridian scientist, Miko, hesitated before speaking. There's something else. We've started to notice changes in our wildlife. Behavioral anomalies in the avian populations, disorientation, erratic flying patterns. It coincides with the grid issues. Lyra's heart sank as she absorbed the implications. So, it's affecting organic life, not just our technology. We need to trace this, find the source. The team launched a comprehensive analysis, tracing the energy flows and examining affected wildlife. The investigation led them deep into the heart of Viridian technology centers where the integration with human tech was most extensive. Through meticulous work, they uncovered that the problem was rooted in the foundational coding of the human devices, which, while seemingly benign, resonated poorly with the unique bioelectrical signatures of Viridian flora and fauna. Look at this, Miko pointed out on the screen, showing a series of data streams. The human tech is operating on a frequency that's creating interference. It's subtle but pervasive. And it's been slowly altering the natural order. The revelation was a blow to the Alliance, straining the trust Lyra had placed in her human counterparts. Captain Jameson, equally shocked, pledged immediate action. We'll decommission the affected devices. It's clear now that our solutions can't just be transplanted here without deeper adaptations, she said, her resolve firm. The process of decommissioning was arduous and fraught with setbacks. Viridia's dependency on the enhanced energy had grown, and rolling back meant facing temporary shortages, yet another hurdle that Lyra had to manage. Public sentiment wavered as the crisis unfolded. Lyra faced the Viridian populace, addressing their fears and pleading for patience in a series of broadcasts. We are facing a crisis, one that tests our resilience and our adaptability, she said, looking into the camera, her image broadcasted across every home. But we are not facing it alone. Our human allies have acknowledged their oversight and are working with us to rectify it. I ask for your trust and your patience. Meanwhile, the human engineers, under intense scrutiny, developed a new series of devices. These were designed from the ground up to be compatible with Viridian systems, incorporating biological elements from the planet itself. When the new technology was ready, it underwent rigorous testing under Lyra's direct supervision. The results were promising, no adverse effects on the ecosystem or the wildlife. It was a breakthrough, a glimpse of hope amid the turmoil. With cautious optimism, Lyra and Captain Jameson oversaw the implementation of the new technology. Slowly, the grid began to stabilize, and the natural rhythms of Viridian life resumed their harmonious flow. The resolution of the crisis came not from the removal of human influence, but from a true synthesis of human innovation and Viridian ecological principles. It was a hard-earned victory, one that came from mutual respect and a renewed commitment to understanding and adapting to the needs of both worlds. As stability returned to Viridia, Lyra reflected on the journey. It had been fraught with unexpected challenges, each one a lesson in leadership and diplomacy. The crisis had tested her, shaped her into a leader who could navigate the complexities of a world increasingly intertwined with the broader cosmos. In the aftermath, Lyra strengthened her resolve to ensure that Viridian sovereignty and ecological integrity remained at the forefront of any future interstellar collaborations. The experience had taught her the importance of vigilance and the value of adaptive solutions. As Viridia healed, so too did the bonds between the humans and Viridians, now forged in the fires of adversity and strengthened by the collaborative spirit that had ultimately saved the planet. Lyra looked to the future, ready to guide her people through whatever new challenges the stars might bring. With the lessons of the past etched deeply in her mind, she was determined to lead with wisdom, courage, and an unwavering commitment to her planet and its inhabitants. Lyra stood at the edge of the revitalized grove, watching the soft bioluminescence flicker back to life in the undergrowth, a visual symbol of Viridia's slow but steady recovery. The journey to this point had been fraught with peril, a path marked by her initial unwavering trust in humanity's technology, and the subsequent betrayal of that trust as the ecological and societal fabrics of her world were nearly unraveled. Next to her, Captain Jameson observed the scene with a mixture of admiration and relief. The collaborative effort to redesign the human technology to be in harmony with Viridian biology had finally borne fruit, but the road there had been anything but smooth. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Jameson remarked, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled between them. "We have," Lyra responded thoughtfully. "And each step taught us something crucial about collaboration and mutual respect." Jameson nodded. "I'll admit, when we first came here, I underestimated the complexity of integrating our systems with yours. It was arrogant, and it nearly cost us everything. For that I am sorry." Lyra turned to look at her, seeing the genuine remorse in the human's eyes. "Apology accepted, Captain. But let's ensure the lessons we've learned don't fade over time. We need to set up a permanent advisory board, one that includes members of both our species to oversee this partnership." "That's a wise suggestion," Jameson agreed. "Prevention is better than cure, as we say." As they discussed the formation of the new Joint Oversight Committee, Lyra felt a cautious optimism. The committee would not only oversee the integration of technologies but also serve as a forum for addressing any cultural misunderstandings that might arise in the future. It was a significant step toward ensuring that the interests of both the Viridians and humans were respected and protected. In the following weeks, Lyra spearheaded the committee's first meetings, bringing together scientists, diplomats, and leaders from both worlds. The discussions were intense and fruitful, often delving into the minutiae of interspecies relations and technological exchanges. One of the key outcomes was the establishment of a Viridian cultural exchange program, designed to educate the humans on Viridia and vice versa. It aimed to foster a deeper understanding and respect for each other's ways of life, which was critical to the ongoing partnership. We must be cautious yet open. We have seen what happens when fear and misunderstanding take root, Lyra often said during these sessions, her words resonating with both her people and the humans. Meanwhile, the ecological recovery continued to progress. Lyra frequently visited various sites around Viridia where human technology was employed, accompanied by a team of both Viridian and human experts. They monitored the ecological impacts closely, adjusting strategies as needed to ensure that balance was maintained. It wasn't long before the positive results were evident. Areas that had once been blighted by the misuse of technology were now thriving, their ecosystems vibrant and stable. Wildlife that had been disturbed began to return, and the natural beauty of Viridia was restored, much to the joy of its inhabitants. The success of these efforts was celebrated planet-wide, with a festival that honored both Viridian resilience and human ingenuity. During the festival, Lyra gave a speech that was broadcasted across all colonies and the human stations. Today, we stand together not as two species divided by technology and fear, but as allies who have learned the strength in unity, Lyra proclaimed, her voice echoing through the crowds. We have built more than just machines together. We have built bridges of understanding, respect, and cooperation. The crowd erupted in applause, a sound that filled Lyra with hope and determination for the future. After the festivities, she walked among her people, listening to their stories of recovery and watching as children played under the glowing leaves of their restored world. It was during these moments of reflection and interaction that Lyra realized the true depth of what they had achieved. The crisis had not only been averted but had become a catalyst for a profound transformation in Viridian society and its relations with the humans. As the sun set on the horizon, casting long shadows over the bioluminescent landscape, Lyra stood once more at the edge of the grove. The light from the flora reflected in her eyes, a mirror to the stars above that watched over them all. This is just the beginning, she whispered to herself, a promise to her planet and its people. Our journey together continues, and as long as we remain vigilant and compassionate, there is no limit to what we can achieve. With that thought, Lyra turned back toward the celebrations, her heart full and her mind clear. She was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, guided by the lessons of the past and the hope for a better tomorrow. Her leadership had been tested, but she had emerged stronger, wiser, and more committed than ever to ensuring the prosperity and harmony of her world.